Time for piggies in the CB versus XMT clan war. XMT currently up 2-0 on the clan war. CB needs to get some wins on the board. Let's see if they can do just that with Wood Elves versus the Greenskins. And we see a wild Gorbat Ironclaw sighting, always a good time. Goblin Great Shaman up front. We've got some Black Orcs hanging out here. Maybe just one, actually. Yep, just one Black Orc. Very tasteful. Some Goblins and the Orc Boys as well. And then it's a bunch of Savage Boar Boys on that side and a bunch of Savage Boar Boys on that side. Yeah, this is the way this matchup can go for Overload. And the response is maximum Glade Guard. We've got all variants of Glade Guard here, totaling many. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Grave Guard? Glade Guard. Could you imagine 12 Grave Guard? But they are just the Glade Guard. And we've got some Glade Rider Spears also on the flanks, Dryads, Dryka, and that's it. So, without further ado, who will win? Pigs or the Archers? Britannia versus I don't know. Landia? Not exactly. Anyway, been playing a little Bannerlord War Sales recently on the very small amount of free time that I have, and I gotta say, it's pretty decent. The naval combat's alright. I feel like it could have been better, but overall good time. Certainly not disappointed. But the Wood Elves are going to open up, start to focus fire on whatever targets approach. This is Conquest, so the point has been activated here. The Goblin Goblin Night Goblin Shaman, yes, that's it. Taking some shots there, poor little guy. Doesn't have a whole lot of HP, so he's got to be careful not to take too much damage from that. But XMT player here trying to develop the attack on the flanks with the Boar Boys. Getting in here, buttering that bread, as they say. Nice downhill charge from the pigs. They will get hit by that Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, though, which impacts their speed, which does impact their charge. They make contact with the Glade Riders there, and we see more contact being made. Honestly, with Dryads, you could kind of just charge them in the face, to be honest. And we do see a few instances of that happening here. Over here, Glade Riders managed to bog down multiple units of boars just long enough for the Glade Guard to rein in some pretty serious damage. Wow, what was that that just came in? That was some crazy damage. That couldn't have been Vindictive Glare, surely, right? Against a single unit of Glade Guard? That was crazy. Anyway, Drake is going to switch sides here, try and run over to the opposite flank, but the inevitable collapse is coming. Just from all directions. It's Pork, and Waz popped right at an opportune time. Oh man, yeah, those Savage Orc Boar Boys should have landed the charge right there. I think they missed out on some free damage because the Elves are running. Glade Guard can fire while they're advancing, but only in their forward arcs. So you might as well just full pursue in there. Oh, it was Vindictive Glare. Wow, I guess I haven't used that spell recently since they made the change. Magic missiles, but overcasting that Vindictive Glare right now is doing some very serious damage on these blobbed up Glade Guard. But Black Orcs pursuing in, and it's a big old compromise for the Wood Elves. But they are not going to go quietly with Elven leadership and all that. We still got Trika hanging around here. But a lot of these Glade Guards getting eaten up and destroyed. Let's see what they can do. Yeah, Drika continuing to work with that Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma. Little Shaman keeps blowing himself up with miscasts, but also is getting some pretty good damage out with the, with that Vindictive Glare. And the pigs running things down. It's not looking great for the Wood Elves right now. Yeah, just maximum Pork. Gorbat running in. Yeah, he's going to pursue. And try and win this. It's looking like a pretty quick victory, yep, for the Green Tide. This is definitely a way this matchup can go. Oh, it looks like I got the teams backwards. Okay, so XMT was actually the Wood Elves. That's fine. I probably won't re-record this because I don't have time. But anyway, yeah, that was quite an interesting one for sure. I mean, definitely the maximum cavalry is a strategy that that Wood Elves have struggled with for a long time historically, like Greenskins, Bretonia. There's some factions where just the volume of heavy cavalry is more than what you can deal with. And I gotta hand it to Leodero. He definitely went for a volume approach here, but I don't know that it necessarily worked out the best for him. Pretty interesting for sure. We're gonna see some massive value on some of these Savage Boys. Some of them get torn up a little bit in engagements. Was able to break up the assault a little bit with those Glade Riders, but ultimately only had 2 of them. Maybe a couple more would have been nice to have just to help break things up a little bit here. Yeah, Gorbad really didn't have to do much. Night Goblin Shaman, considering how cheap he is yeah, nice. Just very good ad, honestly, with how inexpensive, super cost effective. Anyway, let's go on and take a look here at this matchup in a little bit more detail. So, it's a problem that Wood Elves have struggled with historically. There are some units that in theory should help you there, but in practice they don't really do what you need them to. Yeah, I mean, I guess against the Savage Boar Boys specifically, what am I thinking of? So, I mean, you've got Zotes. They are pretty expensive and limited in number. Treekin are a unit that has mass, but because their weapon strength and damage is just pretty bad against armored targets, like, they'll do okay against the Savage Orcs, but honestly, like, yeah, against, like, Boar Boy Biggins, or even regular Boar Boys with 60 armor, they're going to struggle to output consistent damage. I mean, they do not have a lot of attack, which, again, doesn't matter as much against the Savage Boar Boys. They have fairly low defense. But the regular Boar Boys, I mean, they're not a whole lot better, but it is slightly better. And that armor, it's 65 or 85. It's enough that the Treekin are going to have a hard time against those types of units. And so, yeah, it's just not a great trade. Like, it's a unit that in theory should help you getting just run over by mass, but it doesn't, unfortunately. So, what other things could you try and do to stop this? You know, if you can have some control tools like Azrai Spears, they're pretty mobile. They are very squishy at the end of the day, but they are mobile enough that if you can get some stacking slows, maybe get some poison from like some Hagbane tips somewhere, maybe with Melkos Mystifying Miasma or through other means, and try and get the ward answers into decent engagements. They'll definitely tear up boars, no problem. They're, again, relatively cheap and squish, not cheap, they're relatively expensive for infantry. And, you know, teching into them very heavily is risky in other ways because they'll lose pretty hard to Greenskins infantry. So, not exactly a given there, but speaking of this guy, Durthu is one centerpiece that I might consider in this matchup just because he's such a beast, honestly. And Greenskins have pretty good anti-large tools, but the boars, which they're likely to tech into very heavily in this matchup, in my opinion, I mean, they'll do okay on this round around Durthu, but he's got some AoE damage of his own that he can kind of push them back a little bit, so it's not necessarily a given. He also is a big terror-causing monster, and none of these guys have immunopsychology baseline, so if you get their leadership low enough, all of them will just terror out. So maybe working from Durthu and then out from there, perhaps. I don't know. Not an expert on Wood Elves by any means. Never been a Wood Elf player, but take that as you will. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.